Hello, cyberspace. It's me, Angie, and I welcome both you and your ears to an episode of Life, Love, Music, and Space Travel. In case you're wondering who Angie is, I'm Angie, and I'm super stoked to spend some time sharing with y'all some of my experiences and thoughts on living, loving, music, and space travel, or spiritual experiences as I often refer to as space travel. A rather broad spectrum, right? Well, my hope is to always share something that resonates with, intrigues, excites, or perhaps inspires you. On that note, I invite you to sit back, buckle up, and take a little trip out into the cosmos with me. Hello, cyberspace. It's me, Angie, coming to you with episode number 29 of my podcast, Life, Love, Music, and Space Travel. It's again been a little bit since I released a new episode. I want to say it's been about 13 days. I have been trying to get one out every week, and I have not been on point. That being said, I think it ties in with sort of the theme of tonight's episode. And what's been running through my mind and what's running through my mind at the moment is fear. F.E.A.R. And that's what I'm going to talk about. That's kind of why I've been delayed on recording a podcast, fear. Fear is that corrosive thread that runs through most of us in one form or another. I am aware that it can be a positive attribute. It can be a very negative attribute. I need fear. I'm very aware of that. But as I've been sitting here reflecting on kind of how fear has affected me in my life, earlier points in my life, it was kind of all encompassing. I don't believe I knew that at the time or looked at it that way. But there was definitely a time when fear sort of ruled me from the perspective of things like, geez, I was afraid of everything, ultimately. Judgment, failure, success, loss, feelings, living, dying, abandonment, authenticity, rejection, change. I was afraid of other people's reaction to my behavior, very codependent. I was fearful, as I've mentioned many times, I am on a journey of recovery and self-discovery and have been for quite some time. And for a long time, I was very fearful of the idea of sobriety. Oh my goodness, who the hell would want to be sober and deal with living life on life's terms? I didn't know anything about that at the time either. But fear it ruled me, and I had no idea. I'm sitting in this place today where I've just made kind of some big decisions in life. I recently reached out to my managers at work and requested that I'm not on the schedule anymore. I don't know why I can't really say it. Did I quit? I'm not really sure. But I did ask them to not put me on the schedule anymore, and I have been hemming and hawing about that for quite some time now because I've been afraid. I really want to jump into a new career. I'm 51 years old, for goodness sake. What the hell am I thinking? Jumping into a new career, trying something different. I've been in the food service industry for 30 years. And so this idea of changing and doing something else is frightening. But lately, it's become more frightening to think of staying in the food service industry at 51 years old. I'm old and the plates are too heavy. I'm tired. At the restaurant I'm working at presently, I am one of the oldest employees there. All joking aside, I don't think I'm old. 51 does not seem old. I mean, there was definitely a time in my life when I didn't think I'd live past 25. So when I think about it that way, sure, I'm old. And yet, truth be told, I'm not. But I had really been holding on to this thread. It was like a hangnail. So I have a home-based business. I've had one for 15 years, on and off. I have never actually worked it full time for many reasons, I suppose. I could say that I was sort of pushed down by somebody else's discomfort around me, let's say working for myself. I had a lot of responsibilities, and so it was definitely important that I was bringing in some consistent money. But I actually started my business. I have an eBay business. I have had an eBay store on ebay.com for 15 years. And I've done well enough. I've got a good eye. I've learned about a lot of things. And I am deciding to jump into it. Here I am. Any of my listeners know I am presently living with my parents, divorced. No house of my own at this time. Me and my dogs. I don't have any children of my own. I don't have a house mortgage, no car payment. I don't have a lot of things. And so this is the perfect time, I feel like, to jump into, with both feet to the best of my ability, a new, not even really a new career, but something different, no longer being reliant on the restaurant. And I've been holding on to the restaurant instead of jumping out. I thought, well, I'll just keep it and I'll have, I know I can go get money there. And I guess the way my brain works, I'm not sure if anybody else's brain works the same out there. So please feel free to reach out and let me know. Go to my website and leave me a voice message or send me an email. Let me know how you guys feel about this stuff. But my thinking was on the line of holding on to the restaurant because that's where the money comes from. And I've come to realize that I really need to break that tie. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep holding on to that. And so I did reach out, as mentioned, to my employers. I could have gone in, but I've been getting my shifts covered, and I got a really great response from two of the gals that I worked with, and I had been afraid of their reaction. I don't know. Who knows what they're thinking of me, but I got a really wonderful reaction. I shouldn't be surprised at all. I really enjoyed the staff that I worked with, and I think that's part of also what kept me from wanting to step away, because I'm not really much of a social gal, and so I feel like maybe I won't see them as often. But now whenever I go down to the beach, I'll be sure to stop in at Jack Mackerel's. And who knows, I may have to ask them to put me back on the schedule at some point. But for now, I've decided, afraid or not afraid. Like I said, I started to become more fearful of staying in the industry and somehow having to manage through that. It was really working my body. My back was hurting. I was really losing my positive attitude. I had tried to hold on to it for as long as I could, but I couldn't do it anymore. And so instead of ignoring all these signs that were popping up, I have learned on my journey to not let fear run me completely. So I have come a long way. I used to do or not do related to my fear level. As I've mentioned many times, I stayed in a very toxic and unhealthy relationship for much longer than I should have. My therapist used to say I was in the midst of a slow amputation. It was a very slow process for both of us. Neither of us were, I don't know, we were both very lost, but I can really only speak for myself. And so I stayed for lots of reasons. I did stay out of the place of love that I was coming from. I really wanted things to work, and I wanted to stay married. I really loved my person the best way that I knew how, and I still do. But I also stayed out of fear of leaving, fear of what I knew would come from it. I knew the house would go away. I knew things would change. I might have to leave the state. In truth, all the things that I feared came true. I did lose the house. I did lose my fellowship, my community, blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff that I've spoken about so many times, it all came true. But by doing the work that I needed to do to deal with my fear, I have been able to withstand the emotional turmoil that came with the change. that was another thing. I was very fearful of the emotional turmoil that was going to come from it. And so I was projecting all of this stuff onto it instead of just doing the thing. It didn't make the thing any easier necessarily, or maybe it did, I guess. I was eventually able to drive away, and perhaps I don't want to say that I could have done anything any differently or any earlier. I believe everything happened just as it was supposed to, because that's the way it happened. To go back and really judge it, I can't relive it at this point. But I sure am grateful to be on this path of moving through fear rather than staying stuck. I have heard it said, there's a couple different acronyms around fear, right? One of them being fuck everything and run, or face everything and recover. I lived in that first one, that first way for a long time. But now I'm not in that place anymore. And so the idea of, goodness gracious, starting over, freaky deaky, and yet not so freaky deaky anymore. I know so many people who stay stuck and will talk about wanting to do something or having a dream, this, that, or the other thing. I don't want to compare my situation to others because my situation is my situation. This is my time, I feel like. Right now, this is the time. So today, I spent my day, I've been listing items on eBay, rebuilding my inventory. And I've been putting off this podcast for quite some time, for whatever that's about. I've had to look into that. I've sat down in front of the computer quite a few times this week, and I guess fearful of this. Fearful of just like, who am I talking to? Those old thoughts can still run through my head. What's somebody going to think about what I'm talking? Is anybody going to listen? All of the shit that blocks me from authenticity and constructive or artistic behavior. I don't want to stay there. So all I can say is, for anyone out there who's possibly dealing with any kind of fear around change, work through the change. Do the thing anyway. Do the thing and be afraid and do whatever it is. I'm progressively feeling excited. I don't know what to expect. I'll also say I feel like I've jumped and holy shit, I'm afraid. Who am I to be thinking that I'm going to be able to live off of eBay? I also have an interest in doing some voiceover stuff. I'm just putting that out there. I have signed up for this website called backstage.com. I'm sure plenty of people out there are familiar with it. It has all kinds of stuff related to the acting industry, commercials, lots of stuff. People are looking for actors and whatnot, but I'm really interested in the voiceover part of things. Commercials, reading a book, who knows? I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks lately. Maybe I'll be able to find a book and read a book. I've learned so much doing this podcast just in relation to recording something and editing something and understanding how to upload a voice reel somewhere. Oh my goodness. It's pretty cool to reflect on how far I've actually come. Somebody told me once that I should regularly reflect on my growth or my journey, to think back to the way things were at one point, not last week, not last month. It was especially in regards to recovery, but to reflect back on when I first really began my journey, because I can't help but see the growth that's taken place between then and now. And for anyone who might just be starting out in that place, maybe it was a week ago, but I'm pretty sure things are probably a lot different a week ago than they were, now than they were a week ago. I like having opportunities to see my own growth. This is something I really didn't think I would be doing. Starting over, beginning again, and wanting to let others know you too can do the thing and live the dream. Whatever it is, it does come with compromise. And absolutely, like I said, some people might think that, geez, I don't really know what other people think, but my situation, well, I don't have responsibilities, but also, I didn't just get here because I decided, I'm just going to move in with mom and dad and get rid of the house and all that stuff. It was great loss and not where I wanted to be. This is not how I wanted things to play out. But I am making lemonade out of lemons, if that's correct. And so I'm pretty sure there are plenty other people out there on the planet who are finding themselves in situations that they did not expect to find themselves in. Perhaps a spouse has transitioned, a family member. Maybe they've moved in with their parents dealing with aging, and whatever it is that the change that you are perhaps being thrown into, I just highly and gently suggest that you see where the opportunity lies within it, because the opportunities are always there. Yep, I just finished listening to The Untethered Soul. It could be the 5th or 6th time that I've listened to it. But it is such a wonderful and constant reminder about the fact that this life thing is spectacular. If I take the opportunity to really grab a hold of it and be where my feet are, not get wrapped up in all of the stuff that's outside of my control, really take ownership of my situation and do the best I can to move forward through it, out of it perhaps, to make the changes that are necessary in order to live an authentic life. I do know that other people have many, many, many challenges, but I see so many people somehow forging forward through their situations and taking hold of the opportunities in front of them. And I'm really grateful to be surrounded by those type of people. And in truth, it comes largely from the fact that I am living I am surrounded by many people in the world of recovery. That's been very inspiring. I see people pick up their lives and start over and do spectacular things. It's really wonderful and amazing. Quite often I found that the only person holding Angie back was Angie. I'm just here to kind of share that I'm starting anew. We'll see how it goes. I'll definitely at some point expand a little bit more on my eBay business and perhaps do an episode specifically about eBay. But as I've mentioned, this idea of fear, I invite you to look within and see what you're afraid of. I remember there was a time when I was presented with the idea of making a list of my fears. I thought, well, geez, I'm not afraid of anything. Well, just the basic stuff, spiders and heights maybe and stuff like that. But that was important. All of those things. And as I started to write, I really found that I was afraid of life. I was afraid of life and everything that came with it. And this earthly experience is going to be over. Whether we like it or not, we're going to transition on to whatever the next part of the journey is. Awareness will either transfer over or it won't. So there's not much to be afraid of necessarily, but I like to think it's going to transition into something else. It will be different than this. So I don't want to miss out on this stuff by being afraid of living. Yeah, I'm not really hip to spiders, and I don't care for the water bugs here in Carolina or snakes, some of those creepy crawlies. And I'm not always super hip to my emotions, but I have been through some stuff and lived through it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have some more challenges. I know that. I have 2 furry babes sleeping soundly here next to me, both of them older. And at some point, they're both going to transition on as well. And it's not going to be a joyful, pleasant experience. I know that. And yet it's a part of life. So I don't want to be afraid of having dogs and missing out on that because of the more challenging parts of life. Fear, I need some healthy fear for sure to keep me in check. But this latest challenge for me seems kind of small to a certain extent, and yet I'm aware that it's a big deal, I guess, for me. Fearful of what do my parents think? I am 51, I know, wondering what will they think if I quit my job and decide I'm going to sell some stuff on eBay. But it's not like I'm just jumping into an unknown world. I get to look at my stuff with truth. I have experience in it, and I have skills, and I have the opportunity and the time right now. So I'm going to take advantage of it. And that sort of throws me into, I'm going to ask myself a random question out of my favorite app, Poddex. Yep, I've talked about Poddex. I am super grateful for it. It's a fantastic app. It's a question-based deal. You can actually have hard copy questions. I do share it all the time. Travis Brown created it, or is at least one of the creators. You can find it online, Poddecs, Poddex.com, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I should probably look that up somewhere else as well. I am looking at one of their decks right now. Interview Like a Legend, it says, and you can find it out. You can find it on the Apple Store or at the Google Play Store. And so this question came out of the sobriety deck, actually, and it was 3 reasons for staying sober. I guess in relation to, I'll even just say in relation to fear to a certain extent, number 3 is I don't want to throw up anymore. That's definitely in my top 3 reasons for staying sober, throwing up. And I was sick recently. Last weekend, I actually was sick and I threw up 4 different times. Sorry, TMI, too much information. But I was really sick. And at one point in the midst of it, I thought, holy shit, thank goodness I don't drink anymore. Because I was a really sick drinker. I was always sick, hanging out with the toilet. And I was like, what a disgusting process. I mean, this time I went into the bathroom and cleaned the toilet, before I got anywhere near it. It was very clean anyway. But yeah, top 3 reasons for staying sober for me, or at least 3 reasons. Throwing up is awful, and I don't want to have to do that anymore. Number 2 I have is that I stay sober also for my doggies and my loved ones. Who will take care of my babes the way that I take care of them? I love them dearly. Yep, I am a good dog mom, and I want to be here for them for as long as they need me, for sure. And I was a drunk dog mom for a long time, and I'm sorry for all the years that my old girl had to deal with me. I'm so grateful that I got to spend quite a few of her last years and early on years, because I was 16 when I got her. That was my first babe. But I want to be present and available for my furry babes and my family members. That's a spectacular motivating factor for me for staying sober. It's really wonderful to be present and available. And then I'd say the top number 1 reason that I stay sober is definitely for me. I have to do it for myself. Otherwise, if I'm doing it for other people will eventually disappoint me in some way, shape, or form, let me down, and I'll be like, well, fuck that. Why am I staying sober for them? So I stay sober for me, and that is directly related to I get to live an actual life, one that is filled with all of the life stuff. I get to be afraid. I get to be courageous, feel joy and sorrow, all of it. I really get to live a life that requires me to do something like step away from a job. I mean, it feels so contrary to my present behavior to step away from work. That's not what you do. You do your work. But what I was finding is that in the end here, I had been giving up my shifts. I was getting them covered by other people. I felt like I was not being a great employer, coworker anymore. And I couldn't do that. So I did finally reach out and let them know that I would like to be taken off the schedule. And it feels good to take care of this stuff. Also, my goodness, talk about fear. I recently finished my 2021 taxes. Yes, I did say 2021, but I filed for an extension and I got them in right in time. October 15th was the final day, and I actually got a very small refund, which will really just cover my taxes. But hey, I didn't owe anything. And talk about fear with that. Oh my goodness, going through them and rereading my life of 2021, that was very challenging this year because it was filled with all of my all my divorce stuff, all the house sale stuff. There were a lot of memories included in the process of taking care of my taxes, and maybe that's why it took so long, because I was afraid of dealing with that kind of stuff. But I did it. I am a work in progress. Progress is perfection. So I'm certainly not a continuously courageous gal. I mean, I am a Leo the lion, and I think there's a lot of cowardice in there, or there has been at some times, but I am getting better at doing the thing even though I am afraid. And I think that's ultimately all that matters. I recently went to a concert, kind of switching out, throwing in some other life, love, music stuff into my episode here. I went to see Nathaniel Ratliff and the Night Sweats at the Live Bank Oak Pavilion in downtown Wilmington. And some of you may boo me, but I gotta say I wasn't super impressed. We just had lawn seats, and it was really pretty chilly out, and the crowd wasn't full, so I wasn't feeling like the energy from the crowd. But the set was, and I will say, he had a great voice. From what I could hear, the band, they were pretty polished, but there was no jamming and there were no solos. It felt like one song to the next with it was like a radio play, sort of. That's kind of my cold perspective, literally chilly perspective of the concert. I won the tickets. I will say I did win them through Live Nation, and I'm very grateful that we went for free, which was really nice. But that being said, I do have on my musical agenda a couple things. Actually, October 28th and 29th, I have tickets to go see Big Something at the Greenfield Lake Amphitheater, which I have spoken about many times also. Love it. It is also a Live Nation, I think, supported amphitheater, but it seats about maybe 900 people or something like that. And it's an intimate setting. The sound is great. The setting is great. You can get right up front in what would be considered the pit to a certain extent. But I am really excited about these guys. I've been listening to them on nugs.net. I'm also going to give some kudos to nugs.net. I've been listening to a lot of great music, and I'm kind of surprised about the bands that are not on there. Anyway, I've been listening to Big Something, and I'm very much looking forward to, it's like a Halloween celebration. I think they came last year for 3 nights, so I'm actually going to dress up, which I haven't done in a long time, and Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. So we may also go this Saturday night there. Steep Canyon Rangers are playing. I do love myself some bluegrass, so that may be on the agenda. And I'm actually going to venture out locally to the Palm Room tomorrow night to see a band. They are playing at the Palm Room over in Wrightsville Beach, and they're called the Dubtown Cosmonauts. They play a pretty eclectic type of music. It says electro jam, Eastern jazzy funk, original Wilmington jam music, and covers of the Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd, Humphreys McGee, Soundtribe Sector 9, Fish, My Morning Jacket, Paul Simon, and more. So I'm getting some music. I gotta replace the last night's show with some good stuff and refill my energy. Yeah, I will say I've been kind of toying with the idea of venturing out to Raleigh next Tuesday for an unexpected Dave Matthews performance. I think he's supporting a local Democrat. But I thought I might just go to see, to get in some Dave Matthews. We'll see how that goes. So here's to facing everything and recovering For anyone who is still fucking everything and running, just keep in mind that it's worth being afraid and doing the thing anyway. Maybe you end up running in the direction of authenticity. Life is short. Remember, where somehow we landed on this pile of dirt. We got born onto this pile of dirt, flying through the universe, spinning around. Somehow we are not flying off the planet. It's amazing. So I just suggest taking the opportunity to live the thing. I do know that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, a lot of horrible, awful, crappy stuff. Always. As I've mentioned a lot, I don't watch the news anymore. I hear clips of it when I'm in the living room because my dad likes to watch CNN and just leave it on as background noise. And I think to myself, how horrible that just filling your head. I mean, I'm not living oblivious as to what's going on. I'm well aware of what's taking place in the world and the tragedies that are taking place. And it's all the time. It's happening somewhere, everywhere. So why invite any more of it in? Have a good time. Ground your feet to the planet. Get your feet in the sand, in the dirt, in the cold water creek, ocean, wherever it is that you are. Find some time to just settle down and do some deep breathing. I have been using my Headspace app pretty regularly lately, and it's been doing wonders for me. Getting in a little bit of meditation. I've been doing a meditation on change because change is scary and I need all the help I can get. Yeah. As my last episode said, oh no, it wasn't my last episode. That was on, I've been infamously string dusted. Those guys, I gotta, I know I'm rambling and jabbering, but infamous string dusters, amazeballs. They were fantastic for sure. But prior to that, changes, turn and face the strange, changes. Change. It's good. It's healthy. It's inevitable. Embrace it. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll be back with another episode sooner than later and let you know how I'm going with my new career changes. Please reach out to me. I really would love to start to build some sort of a community. I would love to hear how people out there are living and how they're handling changes in their life, perhaps. So as I mentioned, www.lifelovemusicandspacetravel.com. You can leave me a voice message. And Space Travel Edition, let's see, November 2nd, I'm actually heading into Myrtle Beach for another ketamine infusion booster. And I haven't really talked about that all that much lately. I've been feeling very well. And I know that it is also in direct relation to many things that I'm doing, but the ketamine infusions, that is my medicine. It's been life-changing and life-saving. After my little bit of space travel, I will do an episode on that. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to check out my episode. I feel like it's episode number 19. My ketamine chronicle, and I don't say it lightly. I'm not a doctor, a nurse, healthcare provider, counselor in any way, shape, or form, and I am not promoting ketamine, but in a medical facility, I know that it's something that's worked for me for my long-standing PTSD, trauma, depression issues. It's been incredibly helpful. So if you'd like to hear a little bit about my experience with it, check that out. Anyway, that's it. It's late here. Time for Angie to go to bed. Thanks for listening once again, everybody. I send all of my love and light out to you. Friends out in the world who are challenging some heavy experiences. Peace, love, joy, faith. Ciao. See y'all soon. Bye. So we've reached the end of today's episode. Thanks so very much for listening. It's now time to reconnect to planet Earth and all that comes with living on the blue ball. I'd love to hear your ideas for future episode topics, along with any and all positive and/or constructive feedback. Please feel free to contact me at isbadass@gmail.com. Thanks again for spending some time with me and allowing me to share myself with you. Until next time, please be gentle with yourselves, be kind to animals, and do all you can to allow your authentic selves to shine brightly.